I might catch some flack for this video, but you know what? I am somebody who believes in moving forward. I am willing to call people out on their claims, put their products to the test. I think there's a lot of growth that's to be had in restoration that's not necessarily on the software side of things. I believe that the growth for restoration, where it really needs to happen, is in the machinery, the chemicals, the processes of which we do things, and ultimately becoming more open-minded to the fact that there are very specific instances that the standard doesn't necessarily address. And I think that in order to figure out where those boundaries are and where those lines are, we need individuals to try new things and try those innovational products and put those to the test and see where they fail or succeed. That all being said, this video is not in accordance to the IICRC standard because the IICRC standard doesn't really mention a whole lot when it comes to spaces that aren't in livable conditions, meaning there's no AC running, there's no windows or doors, pretty much open to the outside. We're talking sheds, crawl spaces, we're talking new construction builds that have not been dried in, attics, places that you will not be living in. So that all being said, this is a new construction treatment that we recently did with D.O.D Cleaner. I've spoken to the founder a couple different times and many members of their team over there, and they know what they're doing, okay? They study this stuff. They're not just some fly-by-night product company that's just looking to make a fast buck on you guys. Like, these guys are very passionate about what they do. And that all being said, when this opportunity came up to treat some of the framing of a new construction house that has not been dried in yet, I decided to put the D.O.D Cleaner to the test. The thing about new construction is a lot of that framing that gets delivered to the job sometimes sits there for weeks or months because other things need to happen, like permits, before that framing needs to go up. So what happens? Well, it's gonna rain, it sits in the dirt, it's basically dirt, right? There's a lot of dirt that accumulates under there. And this is a pretty standard practice, right? Lumber yards, as far as I'm aware, do treat their wood for microbial growth. But once it leaves the lumber yard, there's not really any form of microbial treatment that really happens unless the builder or the GC specifically wants that and specifically strives for that, okay? So this specific builder, he wanted to have his wood treated, right? But you run into some challenges because the place isn't dried in, and it's kind of like, well, do you want to do it when the place is dried in? Like, yeah, no furniture's in there and flooring and stuff, but you're still kind of working inside of a bubble, right? Why don't we treat it without it being dried in? So this place is essentially just a tree house, right? It's on block, there's wood up, but outside air is moving in and out constantly, right? So I felt confident enough that this specific job would be a good candidate for D.O.D Cleaner. Now, for those of you watching that go, oh, you're not following the IICRC standards. Yes, I know. I know that this is not part of the IICRC standards, but this is and could serve as an innovational treatment process for new construction, because what tends to happen is for the builders and GCs out there who don't care about this stuff, they put up the framing is pretty nasty, and they start drying the house in. They put up drywall, they put up insulation, they put up drywall, they go through the whole 9 yards, and ultimately home inspectors go up in the attic and they find this stuff. And then there's that question of, well, it probably was there beforehand, but are we 100% certain that it was beforehand? So ultimately, being aware that your framing could get moldy and whatnot from just sitting on the ground outside for weeks, right? Or days or months. Being aware of that allows you to kind of say, well, let's get ahead of it and let's be proactive about handling that, right? So what do? Well, you call a mold remediation company. But the thing is when you call these mold remediation companies, a lot of times they're gonna run up a huge bill. Why? Because there is some level of machinery and equipment that has to be used. However, if there's nobody in the house and the place is completely open to the outside, do you really need all that equipment? We're gonna find out, right? I'm putting this out there, right? for innovational reasons, right?
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
See what happens, okay? I'm very confident in D.O.D. I'm confident in Brian, the founder, who I've spoken with extensively and who is a wealth of knowledge. So we're gonna see, right? The framing came out good. The other thing about D.O.D is once you spray it on, you scrub it in, 24 hours later, D.O.D cleaner is still working. My videos and photos are from, 15 minutes after we finish the job. But if we were to go back 24 hours later, it would be a lot brighter. We had to do this job on a Sunday because throughout the week, this build has crews in and out all day long. And ultimately spraying a chemical and having it rain down on everybody who probably might not be wearing proper PPE and whatnot isn't necessarily appropriate in my opinion. So I had to make sure that when we performed this treatment that the job site was completely empty. And ultimately that happened to be on a Sunday. That all being said, I'm super excited to present this solution to you guys. If you are a new construction contractor or builder in the Tampa Bay area and you're looking to improve the look of your wood and make sure that the wood is in the best possible condition to have drywall get put up and be dried in, definitely reach out to us because we'd love to work with you and get that all cleaned up for you. Now, it's very important that if you're dealing with mold inside of a home that is currently being lived in, that this solution would not be fit for you. All that being said, guys, thanks for watching this week's video.